It's time for us to take a look at our food production system.
And so it isn't so much food waste as it is beginning to look at food as a whole part of the system. So how much water does it take to create a pound of ground beef? How much water does it take to create a pint of beer? And when you begin to look at food as a system like that, you can see that as a consumer you have some choices, and that if we all made a little bit different choices, it would in fact have an environmental impact. And so I think it's not just food that goes to waste, but it's also the production of food and the agribusiness and the way in which we can all influence that.
The numbers are there. Approximately 40% of the food in the US goes to waste. Globally speaking, roughly 1/3 of the food produced in the world for human consumption every year gets lost or wasted. That is approximately 1.3 billion tons of food. Every year, consumers in rich countries waste almost as much food as the entire net food production of sub-Saharan Africa. We are talking about 230 million tons. On average, that is 92,000 Olympic pools full of wasted food.
Is how much food that's safe to eat and is good to eat gets wasted. And in a grocery store, the customer comes in and they expect everything to be perfect. Every tomato to have no bruises, every apple to be perfect, every orange to be perfect. And when something is not retail ready, meaning absolutely perfect, it's still safe to eat.
Absolutely right. That when you buy local, it's not only does it taste better because it's full of life, and typically when small local farmers, they put more care into their soil. So then you taste that because the plants extract all that energy from the soil, and that's what you get to eat. So the food tastes better, it lasts longer, and it required less energy to get into your refrigerator or to your home. So there's many advantages to eating local, and so yeah, that's a way we can reduce waste.
To get a familiar idea of how much we are wasting, we can take a look at a case of a school cafeteria where 18 trash bins of uneaten food are thrown away every month.
Literally no waste, and there should never be waste in the garden because that's all energy. And we happen to be coming up on an energy shortage in this world with 7 billion people. The plants are not an inconvenience at all. Even weeds are just energy. So if you can find a way to turn value out of that energy, then you can save a lot of money.
No one is spared. Consumer and food service are the largest sources of food loss in the marketing chain.
So, the statistics tell us that there really is enough food in the world, that there's a mismatch between where the food is and where the people are. But one of the things also that's a part of the food waste story is that a lot of the food gets wasted in individual households. And that seems to me to be something that can be controllable.
This is from last night. We had people over, and even though I have a composting bin next to it, and I told them about it, people threw away everything on the trash. They didn't finish all their food. Instead of saving it or put it in the composting bin, they threw away all the rest of it.
Everyone thinks of environmental damage as something that is caused by pollution from cars and factories, but food production waste takes an enormous toll on planet Earth's health as well. From farm to home to landfill, there is a footprint on the environment every step of the way.
Mowing to help contain that whipload litter.
How many acres is the whole thing?
The whole thing, we own more than 1,000 acres now here at the site, but only 330 acres are permitted for waste. And within the next 11 years, all 330 acres will be at capacity if people continue throwing away the waste.
And that has come to the United States is the idea of Meatless Monday. So the reality is that meat, and beef is probably the worst, but really even chickens as well, that they consume a lot of natural resources for a pound of chicken or a pound of beef. And that those resources are everything from the land that it takes, to the feed that it takes, to the waste that is produced, and of course in the case of cows, the methane gas that's produced as well.
Nowadays, households buy unnecessary amounts of food that at the end of the month end up in the city trash, which will be taken to a waste landfill that is being filled up about 50% faster than it was 10 to 15 years ago. Such waste sits at a landfill injecting methane gas directly into our environment.
Before we had opened, the idea was to try to compost as much food as possible, just because it's the right thing to do. Garbage is tight down here already. Second problem for me here was getting all the staff members to actually do it, getting people to buy in to do it. If it's really busy, it's way easier for somebody to throw something in the garbage can than it is to put it in this compost bin. The only way the composting actually worked here was that I took all the compost back to my house and put it all and had my own compost area just for this place, aside from my own house. So it's very, very tricky. To do it in a commercial setting like this, I think there has to be like some kind of citywide system. There has to be a pickup. We would pay for it. We would pay to have the ability to have somebody come pick up our compost on a weekly basis.
Obviously, the very first thing you want to try to do when you have food waste in a grocery store is get it to human beings. If you can't get it to humans, then interestingly enough, there's a pretty big market that's developing for animal farmers to rescue the food and use it for animal feed. And then the third level is to take that food and compost it. And again, at least that way it doesn't go into a landfill. It gets almost recycled, if you will, into the food cycle.
There is a big concern about the impact of food waste on the environment, on food insecurity, and on our wallets. Only in the US, it is estimated that 40% of food goes uneaten, and the average loss annually by an American household by purchasing food they end up throwing away is $1,560.
Even if you don't care about the ecology, which you hope people do, but even if you don't care about the ecology, you're wasting money. When I don't use that half a jar of pasta, I'm wasting money.
It started with 30 years experience catering and the amount of waste that happens on a caterer's level. So I would spend my days on Sunday trying to find people that needed food on Sunday. And after getting burned out in catering, I wanted to do something meaningful in my life and leave a legacy behind that would be more fulfilling than catering. So I met with Lynn Larmer, Kroger, to discuss how much food gets wasted at the Kroger level. And she allowed us to start looking at that, and what we found, it was astounding. So then it was what to do with the food, and the natural progression, the easiest progression is to just make nutritious soups. And because Cincinnati has such an embarrassing statistic for food insecure kids, I wanted to figure out a way to get the food to the children in our city.
Susie actually rescues the food, brings it here, and makes soup, and that's what we distribute. So we are in the process of keeping it going. We feel like we have a model that could be repeated easily in different cities, which is definitely a goal of ours. We are up to rescuing about 1,500 pounds of food every single week, for sure. Probably feeding 400 families, whether it be in school with the child taking something home for the weekend. We give them a frozen quart of soup, fruit, and bread, and we also give to different agencies, after-school programs, churches, community centers during the week.
I have been learning a lot about how to keep everybody moving in unison. Working with volunteers who are awesome, who come in every day, have big hearts, and they just want to make a difference and help out. And I'm learning right alongside with them, refining my techniques with them, as well as educating them and educating myself. It's one of a kind of experience, for sure, and also knowing that we're making a difference and feeding people who really need it, as well as getting to see smiles on other people's faces.
And one of the things that I always love to remind people when I talk about this story about food rescue in grocery stores is the fact that our employees, our associates, really got behind the program. When they understood it and they saw what it took, which wasn't a whole lot on their part, they were really excited about it because they never liked throwing away food that could be eaten anyway.
Well, my water bills are very minimal, so I'd say $300 a year for the whole garden. And the way that we're able to do that is we, let me show you this real quick. This is important. We capture off the back of the pack to this big collection barrel right there. And so this gutter collects the rain. So this was after got half filled up with about one good rain. So that holds about 200 gallons. So I always prefer rainwater. So I use rainwater until I'm out, okay? And then I fall back on the city water. I prefer rainwater because it doesn't have chlorine. The city treats its water with chlorine and other chemicals, actually. So I much prefer the rainwater. And
It's the food that gets wasted in households that I think is really an opportunity for each of us to make a difference. But it means sometimes we have to repackage it. Sometimes we have to buy smaller sizes. Sometimes we have to use like a roasted chicken 2 or 3 times to get the full value out of it and not waste it.
rain. Otherwise, like today, it's a nice sunny day. The plants just get air and sun as much as they want.
So this is an example of the things that I do. So I don't have to waste food. Like this is a piece of bread that I know I'm not going to eat, and there's ham. So I made like 2 mini sandwiches, and I'm gonna give it away to a homeless guy or a homeless girl that are on my way to school.
It should not be only a matter of activists, but everyone's.